Hi guys, welcome back to ThinkView. My name is V. Now, if you have over $2,000 for a new premium laptop, these could be two of the best options in the market, the brand new XPS 14 and the M5 MacBook Pro. For this comparison, we have identified three distinct groups of users. The first one is the corporate professional and strategist. You manage high-stakes project, you need a machine that can handle massive data analysis, comprehensive market research, and endless multitasking without switching off during meetings. Number 2, the creative designers. You live in Adobe Premiere and Illustrator. Your top priorities are the perfect pixel resolution, flawless color accuracy, and a display that tells the exact truth about your visual assets. Number 3, the premium students. Budget is not your primary concern. You want a status symbol. You need a beautiful aesthetic laptop to carry around campus or to coffee shops that handle daily tasks with an absolute premium flair. Today, we're going to compare the XPS 14 and the M5 MacBook Pro from the outside in. We'll take a look at the design, the display, the performance, and most importantly, the real-world use case. Now, let's dive in with me. First, let's check how both of these laptops are built from the outside. Both machines use high-grade aluminum, giving them a premium and luxury feel. For the M5 MacBook Pro, Apple playing it pretty safe here. The design hasn't changed at all since the M1 Pro back in 2021, so it looks pretty standard and plain. However, the physical feel is excellent. It feels heavier, much firmer, and does give off the premium feel without flexing at all. It is built like a tank and it's highly durable. On the other hand, Dell brings a massive change in design this year. The XPS logo has finally moved to the front cover and it looks great. In your hand, it feels much sleeker, more elegant and very modern compared to the blocky Mac. However, the clean design has a catch. There is no cut outlet on the front, making the laptop genuinely hard to open with one hand. One major detail you should know is that both of this laptop finishing is a fingerprint magnet. If you hate constant smudges, definitely pick the lighter color options for neither laptop to keep it look clean. Now, let's open them up and look at the screen. The M5 MacBook Pro is way ahead in raw display specs. It features a stunning 3K resolution running at 120 Hz, and it pushes a massive 1000 nits of brightness. This extra brightness is a huge deal because it makes the screen noticeably sharper and much easier to see when you work outdoors or under bright lights. The Dell XPS 14 offers a beautiful 2K resolution display, also at 120 Hz, but it stops at 500 nits of brightness. While it's perfectly sharp and bright for a normal indoor office, it does not have that extreme outdoor visibility of the Mac. However, Dell's borderless screen looks amazing and gives you a very immersive view. For designers, both screens deliver great color accuracy, but the MacBook's higher 3K resolution and extra brightness give it a clear advantage for detailed visual work. Now, moving on to the hardware and the performance. When it comes to performance, it really depends on the type of work you do. In terms of raw performance, the Intel Core Ultra X7 358H inside the XPS is clearly on par with the M5 MacBook Pro across both GPU and CPU workloads. However, when moving it into actual daily tasks, each machine reveals its own distinct strength. The MacBook with the power of macOS is visibly better optimized for video production and editing, especially using applications like Final Cut Pro. When working in Final Cut, my M5 MacBook Pro only draws about 2 to 5 watts on average, which is incredibly low, whereas the Dell XPS require an additional 10 to 15 watts for the exact same task on DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere Pro. This means that if I use Final Cut to edit videos, I can spend 3 to 4 hours of the entire afternoon at a coffee shop finishing a video project and still walk away with around 40% battery left. That being said, the macOS is the double-edged sword for the MacBook Pro. For users who need Microsoft Office Suite, this MacBook Pro will serve you just fine for the basic task, but once you have to handle more complex tasks that require Power Query or Power BI, the Office experience on macOS fall noticeably behind Windows. These disadvantages become even more glaring when it comes to entertainment like gaming, as game compatibility on macOS remains quite limited. If you want to play game on macOS, you're basically restricted to two major platforms, the Apple App Store and the Steam. The number of supported titles is still fairly small right now, so hopefully, more game publishers will pay attention to macOS in the future. But if you have a mixed workflows, or if you specialize in media production and don't care much about gaming, macOS would be my top recommendation. The overall user experience on macOS feels significantly better than Windows. Windows currently comes with quite a bit of bloatware, and the user interface frequently stutters. Worst of all, Microsoft is trying to force way too much AI integration into operating systems. When weighing the price to performance ratio at this premium $2,000 segment, the value propositions become a real-world usability rather than just raw spec on paper. In terms of raw performance, the system inside the Dell XPS is clearly on par with the M5 MacBook Pro across both CPU and GPU workloads. However, the large sum of money that you spend will yield completely different day-to-day value depending on the operating system and your specific workflow. If you invest in the M5 MacBook Pro, what you get back is an absolute optimization for media software workflows. The efficiency of macOS stretches your battery life to unbelievable length. When running Final Cut Pro, the machine only draws less power compared to the Dell XPS 14 for the exact same task. However, that premium investment might feel wasted if you're just a corporate professional dealing with complex data that requires specific Microsoft features such as Power Query or Power BI. Not to mention, entertainment is heavily restricted since gaming on Mac is currently limited to the Apple App Store and Steam, with a very small catalog of titles. On the other hand, spending that large sum of money on the Dell XPS 14 gives you a premium window machines that address all of those Mac limitations. You are paying for a tool that handles complex corporate data flawlessly while opening door to an unrestricted world of gaming and entertainment. Granted, you will have to deal with a few classic window annoyances like system bloatware, occasional stutters in UI animations, and Microsoft's aggressive push to force too much AI into the operating system. But in exchange, you gain that complete freedom and software compatibility that macOS can simply not offer. So, at the end of the day, spending $2,000 on what machines is really depending on who you are and what you do. If your life revolves around color-accurate visuals, unmatched battery efficiency, and a pure luxury aesthetic, the M5 MacBook Pro is an absolute masterpiece. It's a reliable tank that just gets the job done. But if your daily grind requires heavy data tools like Power BI, or if you want the freedom to boot up any game without restriction after a long workday, the Dell will give you the flexibility that the Apple cannot offer. So, what's your pick after this video? Now, we want to hear from you. Which of these three groups do you belong to? And which laptop are you going to take to your office or coffee shop tomorrow? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below and let's get the debate started. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to ThinkView so that you won't miss any updates on technology. Thank you and see you next video. Bye!